long were you in the fire service?
Almost 43 years.
43 years. What were some of your past assignments?
I started out at Old Station 4 on Shepherd and Banks, and when it closed, we moved into Station 16 on Richmond and Dunleavy. I was there for quite a while, and then from there got promoted, drove the ambulance there 3.5 years, and then I was planning on staying at 16s. I was going to drive Captain Bobo on the truck, and then about 3 days before I was supposed to get the job, well, they took the booster chauffeurs off. So I got beat out of 16s, and my second choice was 37s. I got beat out of 37s. Third choice was 28s, so went to 28s. I was there probably 10, 11 years, and then got into a little scrap with one of the captains. I didn't agree with what he was doing, so transferred to 6s. I was there a year and a half, and I got bored to death over there. They were ready to get rid of me too, because I was pacing up and down the watch office.
You get the old, this ain't 28s?
And so I went back to 28s and finished up my career there.
So how long were you a firefighter before you got promoted?
I guess it was getting close to 20 years. It was that first 2-year chauffeur list was when I got made. I just couldn't ever make high enough to get made off the 1-year list.
Do you recall what year that was, by any chance, nearby?
I think it was like 93.
Okay.
Something like that. But I always made passing scores, but it just wasn't high enough to get made. And I liked being a firefighter, and I passed up my first 2 tests, and they made the whole list. There was 100 and something on each list. And then when I finally decided, well, I'd go ahead and do it, well, fortunately, it came at the right time, because they kept saying, well, we're going to get ambulances in.
Yay.
And you got to be an EMT or we're going to ship you out. So I told them, I said, well, ship me out. So went on vacation, came back. Captain Malik was there. He said, well, Smitty, they're fixing to transfer you. I said, where are they going to take me? And he said, Clear Lake. And I said, you sure you don't want to be an EMT? I said, if I can stay here, I'll go ahead and be an EMT. So while I was in EMT school, I made EO. So came out driving instead of riding in the back.
That's a good thing.
And I did that for 3.5 years.
So where are you from originally, and how did you end up in the Houston Fire Department?
I'm originally from Houston here, and I went to Waltrip High School, and I bought my mother's house. We've been living over there like 40-something years. We lived right there off of 18th, close to 62s. I never thought about being a firefighter at all. I always knew when they had a big fire though, because 62s had a snorkel. Thing never went anywhere unless there was a multiple alarm fire. And I heard that thing take off, I knew they had one. But actually, when I moved out, I moved in with two other guys. Another was an electrician like myself. I was an electrician. And the other one was a police officer, good friend of mine. Well, I rode with him one day, and all he did was sit at the pig stand and write tickets for headlights out. Excuse me. And I thought, well, that's the job for me. So, and I was I met my wife and getting ready to start a family. And I said, well, I need something with a little more insurance, like sick time, vacation time, retirement. The fire department was offering this, but I still want to be a policeman. Well, they were having trouble with the police chief at that time. And so they said, I went in for the interview. Well, you need to come back in about a year. And I said, okay. So a friend of the family's, Chief Jack Moffitt, heard that I was looking for a job, and so he approached me and he said, how would you like to be a fireman? I said, well, you offer all these things? He said, yeah. I said, okay, I don't know the first thing about it. But he took me down that very week, went through the physical. I was supposed to start the next school within a few days. And then Chief Cook got in trouble, so he canceled the school. So I had to wait another year, and they probably don't do that today, but back then they actually called me back in a year and said, "Do you still want in?" And I said, "Yes." So I went down and ran me through another polygraph, and boom, I was in. The only fires I'd ever fought before that, which I never thought I'd be a firefighter, was I caught my house on fire once.
Were you a kid at the time?
Yeah, well, I was a teenager. I got up. I had this giant drip candle in my room, and I was fixing to take this girl to Astroworld on a date, and I thought I'd fire this thing up while I'm getting ready. So I'm in the bathroom, and I come out of the bathroom, and the smoke's coming out of my room, and of course I was one of these hippie kids, you know, I had posters all over the walls and everything. Well, the fire was rolling up the wall, across the ceiling, and I started to run. I started to panic, and I said, "Man, your dad is going to kill you." So I turned around, I pulled everything off the wall, I beat it out with my hands, and had blisters on my hands, and aired the house out, put new posters up. Nobody even knew I had a fire. And then my second experience was with my car. I had a 68 Mustang Fastback. Well, a friend and I went on the north side of his house, and we put headers on it. I was going to drive it back to my apartment over here off of 610 at Hackett Drive, and have the police officer, because it was so loud, drive it to the muffler shop the next day. So we were on the road back, and people were waving us and everything. Well, we had burnt the power steering line in two and had flames shooting out from under the car. We pulled over to the side. He ran for an extinguisher. I said, "I can't let my car burn up." Pulled my shirt off, climbed under the hood, and beat the fire out with my shirt. And lo and behold, we got it to the apartment, got him to drive it to the muffler shop on I-10, and he got stopped 4 times on his way by the police. And
They must have been really loud.
Yeah, they'd come up there, and he'd tell them he was a police officer. Well, they'd holler and scream, "I might have known it was a cop driving this thing." But that was my 2 first experiences at fighting fire, and
Parents, so your dad ever found out about the house, your room catch on
no,
fire?
no, nobody ever knew. They may know now if they see this. But,
Do you remember your first day as a rookie at the station?
pretty much. They were taking me through the ropes and everything. I remember especially about the first month, because they wanted to mess with me a little bit, try to get me wet and stuff. And back then it was always, "We're going to grease you," and all this. So about after a week, we used to make a fire every tour. We worked 3 days, 3 nights, 3 days off. Every tour was guaranteed a fire somewhere back then. And had the senior pipeman there was Romeo Montalvo. Well, the thing I remember about it all was, after a week or so, I knew what to do. If you had dirty hose, you roll it out, you wash it, you put it on the hose rack. When it dries, you roll it up and you put it up. Well, all these guys wanted to wait to be told to do everything by the captain. I don't know what they had against the captains, but they had to be told to do it. Well, I'd just go out there on my own.
Knock it out.
Yeah, I'll start rolling. Well, he approached me one day, said I was making them look bad because I was doing all this stuff, and I barked back at him and said, "Well, look, I've been here long enough to know what to do. I don't have to be told to do everything." And he turned around, the senior captain was standing behind him. So after that, it was like, let him do whatever he wants to do.
So what was the job like back then when you were a rookie? What was the gear like, staffing?
Oh boy,
apparatus.
Actually, I have my helmet. It's still brand new. They gave me a little fiberglass helmet. I think I lost the sticker, but it actually came with a sticker saying "not for firefighting." Had the big flip down shield, and we had basically a bunker coat. It was a long bunker coat, went down past your waist, and I'd say 99% of us even took the liner out. So it wasn't good for much of anything but a raincoat. And we had to pull up boots, and I got some old videos at home, but you notice on there half the time we don't even pull the boots up. They're still rolled down, So, but you were dressed in like a second. And back then, they didn't wait on you. If you didn't get on, the chauffeur was on there, he pulled out, he'd leave you.
I hear it happens every once in a while.
And it was up to you, if they had something, for you to get in your truck and go to the location. But they would leave you, and the thing was that you weren't a good firefighter unless you had snot hanging down to your knees. Back then, I mean, you get in and they made you get down low, and everybody wanted to be first lineman. Everybody else got punished. You were first lineman. You could get behind the nozzle. You could breathe air, cool yourself, put water on the fire. Everybody else is being punished because you're putting all the steam back on them. But and then I remember our first air pack was a 15-minute sling pack. We only had one. They tried to give it to the first lineman, and of course I tried to ride first line every chance I got. I don't think I ever, even though I rode plugman, I don't think I ever actually caught a plug back then. The one big fire we had was Westbury Square, and we got over there on a multiple, and I was supposed to catch the plug, and there was 2 lines there, and I said, well, no sense of me hooking those up. They're going to have to come right over here and hook up. So save them a few minutes.
So back then, what were the nozzles like? Do you use fog nozzles, smooth bores?
Yeah, we had the smooth bore, and anytime you had a pretty good sized fire, they wanted a 2.5. And it took several of you to get it. But of course, the more maneuverable nozzle was the fog. They called it 1.5 inches back then instead of 1 3/4. And I remember we made the Key Mac Company there on West Alabama late one night, and my captain back then was Captain John Guntry. He had in quite a bit of time already, and had another rookie with me, Mike Sperling. And so, and Ward was riding, Chief Ward was a senior captain, but he's riding chief that day, and had us go up to the 2nd story window into the attic area. And I remember climbing in there, had an 1.5 going in the window up the ladder. And I remember climbing in the window, and I'm hanging off the ledge, but the windows were up so high, I thought the floor had burned out below me, because I'm standing there hanging.
On the inside?
Yeah, and I couldn't find the floor. Finally, I let myself down for, oh, there it is. Okay, so it's way down there. So anyway, we're in there, and we're doing a good job hitting the fire, and smoke belched out of there, and next thing you know, Captain Guntry disappeared. I don't know where he went. It was just me and Mike. And then so they pulled a multiple, and on multiples they expected you to get a 2.5. So we came down, got a 2.5. We're up there trying to maneuver it around, and it just wasn't working for the two of us. So I said, let's go back down and get that 1.5. So we got the 1.5 back up in there in the window. I'm sitting in the windowsill, fixing to pull some slack up there when the roof caves in. Went right down my shoulder. So there's 1 9 lives there. But anyway, we pretty much burnt that thing down. I think it got down like one of the coldest days I've seen here in Houston, like 14 degrees or something.
Wow.
We had ice hanging on the ladders, ice hanging off my mustache, and we actually took turns going to the apartment next door and putting quarters in the dryer and holding the door open with the button so we could warm up a little bit. But that was one cold night. I think we had several guys quit after that fire too.
Oh, yeah.
They couldn't take it anymore. So,
What were some of your goals when you joined the fire department as a firefighter?
well, I don't know that I had any specific goals. I mean, I like just fighting fire, and of course I rode the pumper for quite a while, but then Captain Malik, he got promoted, went to senior, so he pulled me over there on the truck, and I was pretty much the guy that took care of him, you know. And I guess I started getting a reputation about that time because, you know, they didn't have the accountability thing, so I was off everywhere, you know. We made this one fire, and had wood shingles with composition over it, and they're all loaded up on the truck. I was on the truck, all loaded up on the truck, ready to go. And where's Smitty? Where's Smitty? Smitty, where you at? I said, I'm up here on the roof. You got some hot spots up here. I said, okay. So kind of like after that, the fire wasn't out unless I said it was out.
The go-to guy.
Yeah. I also saved him one day because we had this apartment fire. It wasn't much of a fire. It was a mattress, vacant apartment. And we're in there. We called arson out. He came out and he took his pictures and stuff, went to the bathroom, washed his hands and everything. Everybody been in and out of there, but I mean, it was so black and dark up there. And they're all standing around talking. I was driving the truck that day. I got all the lights picked up and everything. And I thought I'd pull a little joke on the captain and tell him we had a 1050 in the bathroom. And I told one of the guys that. And so I walked in there, and lo and behold, the guy was laying in the bathtub, man. I guess they had a party down at the end, and he staggered in there and caught the mattress on fire and fell asleep in the bathtub and died of smoke inhalation. And I came out and said, Captain, you got a 1050 in the bathtub? Nah, everybody's been in there. And I said, you better go look again, because he's there. Sure enough, and I had to call everybody back out again. So I don't know what became of all that, but.
So, as a rookie, did you see yourself sitting here today as an EO 43 years in with a great reputation?
No, I didn't. Not really. I really liked doing my job, and I tell you the truth, before I got in, I was, like I said, electrician. I was wiring houses and pools and digging ditches and stuff. And man, when I got in the fire service, it was like you give it your all in a fire, whatever, and then you got this spare time for yourself at the station a little bit. I mean, you're still drilling stuff, but I mean, still, yeah, it's like break time. Man, this is the life, And I was just so thrilled to have the job. That's like I said, I was going to be a firefighter forever. Never even thought about promoting because I liked what I was doing at the time. And I never, of course, when I finally got promoted and got a pumper, well, I had opportunities to switch over to the ladder and stuff, but no, the ladder don't run enough for me. I said, I like staying busy, so I just stuck with that pumper, and I guess, time and experience, if you mess up, well, you learn from that each time, and that just makes you a little better on the next one, And I got to the point that I could listen to that engine running when it's pumping. Mm-hmm. That way I could go off and do other things and still listen to that engine. I could tell if it was going to run away or not. And I needed to get back to it, but I mean, I could go throw ladders, do other stuff. Because when the captain and them get off, nowadays they're all suited up, got the mask, the hood on. It's kind of like they got blinders on, they can't see as much as I can see.
Right.
And I would direct them to the fire. Some of them are still putting their gear on. I mean, I'd go ahead and jerk the line off, have it set up for them, ready to go. And I'd grab them by the coat, and I said, it's right there, the line's right there, the fire's right there. All you got to do is pick it up and go get it. And then I knew they were going to be tired when it's all over with, so I would gather the stuff up, whether it be rolling the hose, reloading the hose. I mean, some of the guy, I guess, when I got this old gray mustache, I started getting more help than
Do you need it?
Yeah, and I said, well, we'll do that for you. I said, look, I can still do the job, So I'd get up there in that hose bed, and I'd start loading that hose, and young captain, you rookies, I need to get up there and help that man. I said, I got it, Captain. Just have him pull the slack. Let's get it loaded, I said, I can take care of it. But it was just good, good exercise, and I just enjoyed it.
Little do they know, you probably outwork all them guys.
Well, that's what they say, but...
oh, and I've seen you on the fire ground
yeah.
where guys were dropping out tired, and there goes Smitty.
But I always try to take care of my crew. If they got overheated, I got them some towels. I got them water, whatever it took. And then things would calm down a little bit. If I had a break, I'd like to walk around the fire in case I had to come back later or something. Mm-hmm. I knew where everything was at, and it just started coming firsthand with everything.
Just gave it your all every day, and then here you are today.
Yeah.
Great reputation. So what's one of the funniest fire station stories you can share on camera?
The funniest fire station story. Well,
just one. Greatest hit.
Well, 16s, I know they always like to have water fights. And I'm surprised that second floor hadn't fell out up there, because, I mean, it wasn't just a little water fight. It was like 1.5 inches versus the water hose, and we had to squeegee out the upstairs and everything. I tell you the truth, I never played all that much.
Yeah.
Whenever they'd start that, I mean, I helped them clean it up, but I didn't like to get in on that too much, because I figured, well, you know, somebody's going to get hurt. And I've heard stories of guys playing ping pong and diving for the ball and go down the pole hole and stuff. And I said, no. So when they started the water fight, I hooked them to the watch office. That's where all the electronics are, and you can't get nothing wet
spot.
there. Yeah, that's the safest place to be. So, and then when it was all over, I'd come up and I'd help them clean up. But that's probably the. Of course, they were real jokesters at 16, especially Captain Malik. You know, like. I know you've probably seen these cards made up like with $20 bills. It's just, well, they'd take that thing to the sidewalk whenever the trash needed to be picked up, and watch upstairs. The guy, he'd find that card and it turned out to be a fake or something, and then they'd got the phone number to the washateria across the street, and they'd call people on that phone all the time. But I think probably when I started at Old Fours was probably the funniest, when I got my initiation. My first night watch, they had it rigged up for the old man mask.
That was with your...
Yeah, at my retirement. But anyway, we pulled out on the pumper going to run. We come back, and one of the guys was dressed up with that mask on. He's walking down the sidewalk, and everybody on the pumper's hollering and screaming and cussing at this guy, and he's shaking the cane. They said, well, he'll probably be around tonight. So, okay. So I'm sitting there in the watch office. Of course, it's always open. You couldn't lock that place down. And this thing pops up in the window, and I scared the fire out of me. And I jumped up, grabbed a broom, chased him out of there. I said, get the hell out of here. And then during the night, all they did is that place was so easy to do stuff in. They'd slip out the back, come around and flush the commode and the watch office, and jerk the ropes, and the doors would fly open and everything. And this went on most of the night, and they were all throwing stuff. But every time I started upstairs, you could hear them all rustling back to their bed, you know. Well, so eventually I just let it go on, and pretty soon a lady calls the station and says there's a prowler roaming around the fire station. I said, okay, that does it for me. Give me the police. So I had 2 cops show up, guns and flashlights, and they walked around the station. And it got quiet after that. I told them what was going on. They just kind of laughed when they left.
That'd been hilarious to call that guy running around with the cane and mask on.
Yeah.
I work here. This is my station.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
So who was your mentor, whether they knew it or not?
Well, I guess Chief Ward, well, he was a senior captain about that time, Chief Ward and Captain Malik. But Chief Ward was the one that took us out and drilled us. And, I mean, we went out of the way to do some things, like we'd throw a salvage cover down the bar ditch, turn on the hydrant, taught me how to draft there and everything. And I actually used that at Woodway Square when I made that big fire. I guess he was probably one of the best teachers I had. He went on to make chief, and of course, Captain Malik was easy going, and he pretty much knew what I could do and what I couldn't. He'd give me an assignment. He'd know it. He'd be taken care of. It'd be taken care of every day, same way. So, but yeah, I'd probably have to go with Ward on that one.
All right. If you could write a letter to yourself back in time when you were a rookie, your first day at the station, knowing what you know now, what would you writing that letter? Watch out for the old man, Max.
Probably that, yeah.
But besides that,
Yeah.
what advice would you give your younger self?
Well, I'd like to take the knowledge I have now and take it back with me then, actually. And I mean, I learned from some of the best guys like Royce Beck and, of course, Ed Houck and all them. Houck worked at Sevens, but they were all good examples of what to do, what not to do, and showed me good firefighting techniques and basically getting down low and getting under the smoke. And I mean, the new equipment we have today it's so safe, but it's not safe actually, because
It's like a double-edged sword.
yeah, you're safe, but you still need to remember the old days. You need to get down low and stay under the heat. You know, they gave me the hood and stuff, and I always left it there with my gear. And I said, you know, the only time I'm gonna wear this hood is if I have to go make a rescue. Then yes. But after that, these right here are my warning devices. They let me know where the fire is and when it's getting too hot.
When it's time to get out.
Yeah.
What's one lesson you learned as an EO that you wish you had learned earlier in your career?
Well, it came with experience, and I'd like to pass this on to other EOs. You need to think outside the box a little bit. I mean, it's becoming a habit that everybody rushes in, they all pile up in one place, and you got 2, maybe 3 pumpers up there doing all the work. To me, I didn't want to be boxed in, and I wanted to look for other avenues. And it always seemed to pay off for me. We'd go in there, and I see them all piled up at the front of the building. Everybody's having to walk way back to the fire. Well, I'd stop and tell the captain, we're going to find us another avenue. Get in there. Sure enough, I'd just go about a half a block around. There's another driveway getting into the fire, and shoot, we pull right up to the fire and lay all kinds of lines, and everybody was glad. You know, in fact, I think Chief Sleater talked about one at my retirement that they had an apartment fire way back in the back, and it backed up to another apartment complex. And I went all the way around to another street, and we came in the other complex and tore down the wood fence and laid lines through the fence and got to the fire.
Did you do that yourself or with the rest of the crew as well?
Well, I took my crew with me.
Okay.
You know, I told them. Now, there's been a few times where I have dropped them off and then proceeded on to find another spot. Even at the Southwest fire, when I made that, we pulled up right up with 51s and 68s. I dropped my crew off. I started looking for another hydrant because that was the only hydrant at the front. Found one about a block away on the other side, and so I ran back, got the pumper, drove around the block, got over there. 48s was fixing to lay, and I said, no, you hook up. I'm gonna lay my lines from you. I laid the lines from 48s and right up into the front of the other hotel there, and we laid lines across the brick wall, and I hooked up to Tower 21 to put water on that fire.
Just a little forward thinking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know the chiefs like to give all the orders, but if you can find something better, just let them know what you're doing and say, look, I can get another hydrant over here or what have you, and just tell them, and most of the time they'll say, yeah, it's good, do it. I never did ask, I just did it myself. So.
If it ends well, no one's going to tell you
Yeah.
anything. So you have a great reputation for establishing a water supply no matter what. A lot of guys say you just make it happen. But as you're going to the fire, what are you thinking about?
Well,
What's going through your mind? It's going to tell
I'm
you.
looking at if we have a column, I'm looking at the shades of the smoke, and you can pretty much tell if it's really burning bad or not, you know. And right then you need to start thinking ahead. If you got a large column, black smoke, it's probably going to go to a multiple. So you start thinking ahead, find the best plug. You can still look at those bonnets. They can tell you what size they are. I mean, I made a warehouse fire. The company was on Harwin. Company had already laid a line from a plug, but he caught the smaller size hydrant. I pulled up there, told the captain, I'm hooking up right here. I had the bigger hydrant, and they ended up dragging another line back to me. I'm pumping on this side. It jumped into another set of warehouses. Had threes come in on the other side, and they drug another line to me. So I'm pumping two different directions. Yeah, that pretty much got in the habit of doing that there my last year, because we had another warehouse fire. They needed some water, so I backed up and laid off Hillcroft into the complex, parked in the middle, and laid a line to each fire truck on each side of the unit there.
Because you're on the bigger main?
Yeah.
So they're looking for the smoke color.
Does
building construction
yeah, if
factor
you pretty much know, if you know your territory, you pretty much know the buildings you have in that area. And if we have a lot of apartments, so if you got a pretty good column and you know it's going to spread, then you need to start thinking ahead. Like if we're first in, let's go ahead and get the lines in there and get them set up, and then have my next company come in, bring me some water. But like I said, even with the 5-inch hose, I still believe somebody needs to go back and hook up on that hydrant. And of course, you can get your 5-inch, and plus you can get another line off there and just get all the water you can out of that hydrant. We still have a lot of units over there that have the common attic, so it's going to spread. The guys need to get ahead of it a little farther. I mean, you might have to go several units down to get up in the attic. And but if somebody takes your water, don't give up. You can't just give up. You start looking around, like the one we had on San Felipe there. They were tearing the apartments down, yes. But, I mean, the whole horseshoe was 3 floors they were burning, and had Captain Batman there. And so we went out on the back side. We're the only unit that ever went on the back side. He had his lines going up in the unit, and we couldn't get enough water from this dead-end hydrant to run that and the deck gun, so it was vice versa. And I kept telling the chiefs, I said, if we don't cut this thing off, it's going to go right past me. It went right past me. I chased it down with the deck gun. They finally set up 38s down at the end to cut it off, said, hey, we're going to take your water. I said, well, okay. So got to thinking, looking around, there's the bayou, and a friend of ours, Warren Hooker, seen the fire, so he came. He was off duty, and he's waving at us, and I said, Warren, is there a hydrant over there? And he said, just a minute. He said, yes. And I said, I'm coming to you. So I pulled me a line off of there. I went down in the bayou, drug it up the other side, tied a rope to it, and said, here, pull it over, hook it up. So that's where we laid a line across the bayou and got some more water.
How far was that?
Oh, it's probably a couple 100 feet. And then, so then they come up and they asked the captain, said, hey, where'd y'all get your water from? The other company down at the other end, they said, well, we struck across the bayou. So they did the same thing. So they laid theirs across the bayou too. But
was anybody on the other end? It was another.
They finally sent a pumper around to hook up over there, yeah. So, and I had a brand new pumper, so we were there all night. I loaded everything back up except for that hose going across the bayou, and they wanted to send us back early that morning, and they said, well, we're going to let you take so-and-so's pumper back, and you leave yours here. I said, no, I'm not leaving my new pumper here for y'all to strip it. I said, I'll shut it off. They can pull up and hook up to my hose. I'll leave the hose.
I'll take theirs.
And I'm taking my pumper back. So we took our new pumper back to the station.
You come back, all your new tools are gone.
Yeah.
So once your crew's interior attacking the fire off the first cross lay and you've already established a water supply, what are you doing now?
Well, I do like I did at Sixes. I was hooked up, supplying them water. I might even bring a backup line, lay it over there, but keep an eye on the fire and the smoke. And if it looks like it's getting bad, well, I had my crew in there. I could actually see them in there inside the building, and fire was above their head. So I immediately got on the radio and said, "It's over your head," and tried to let them know what the conditions are out there the best I could. And I was, if somebody went down, I went ahead and geared up too. So if one of my guys was down, no matter what the chief said, I'm going after
coming
him.
to get you.
I'm coming. And they always knew that too. I said, and whenever we would drill, they'd say, "Who would you want to come get you?" And they said, "Smitty." So I said, "I'm going to be there, buddy."
So when you're outside and, like I said, you're watching the guys best you can, try to pull a second line if needed.
Right.
Besides that, what are you looking for specifically in fire conditions and building and the crew?
The extension of the fire, if the smoke's getting darker or not, a lot of times you can see them go in, and once they go in that door, they're going to start feeding that fire some oxygen. Mm-hmm. And you can tell just by looking at the smoke if it's starting to get a little darker and starting to roll. You can let them know. I said, if y'all don't find it pretty quick, it's fixing to flash on you. So they either need to get down low or get out. And a lot of times I came close to telling them to get out, but we'd have another crew, a backup crew, because I already had a line there, and they would go in behind them and take care of it. So really,
how do you know they're doing well from outside, from where you're standing?
Well, I can tell by the smoke. You start getting some white smoke out there, they're hitting the fire, and you can pretty much tell where they're at. It's just, I don't know how to explain it exactly. Just most of you chauffeurs, I know y'all are moving up the ranks really fast, but if you're going to be driving, learn to observe these things the best you can. They're going to help you out later too.
Yeah.
When you get to be captain and senior, and you can tell, check the eaves, check both sides of the fire. You can tell if it's spreading by the color of the smoke, and just a lot to be learned from the color of that smoke coming out of there. Just experience. I don't know how to explain it. I've just seen so much of it,
So you're looking just for color changes or the density?
Pretty much color changes in thickness. The thicker it is, the more chance of it lighting up. Like I said, like when they're hitting it, you can tell you start getting some white smoke, and then. But my deal was, whenever I'd ride captain and making a fire, you're going in there, you're staying low, but if you're getting hot, why do we want to continue to hold back on the water? I know they want to put the water on the seat of the fire, but everything's ruined already anyway. Mm-hmm. Let's put some water, get some water in that atmosphere, and start cooling that thing down. You're not going to hurt anything.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of times they always say when you put a lot of water in the front, your chances are you're pushing it back on survivors back in there. Well, that might be true, but to an extent. But if the sooner you can get some water on that thing, they're gonna get some steam burn, but they might still be alive with the steam burn instead of.
What I was saying is, the sooner I can make the conditions better for myself,
right,
the sooner it's going to get better for them.
Right.
So if it's hot for me already, if I start cooling it off,
yes,
if there's survivors in here,
right,
it's going to cool off for them as well.
Yeah. But I've learned that 9 times out of 10, the survivors were in the room with the fire. Mm-hmm.
So does weather play a process in you establishing a water supply or observing your crew?
The weather didn't hamper me too much on establishing the water. It does hamper like smoke conditions. Mm-hmm. Sometimes here, like you got some heavy clouds or whatever, it will hold that smoke down on the ground. And we made several fires where you're driving up there, and you don't actually see a column because the weather's so bad. It's just hovering down low, and when you get up there, boom, there it is right in front of you. It's burning like I'll get out, and that's just something that's where you gotta know the address and location. I know we got these new computers that tell you where they're at, but it's so much better if you know where you're going in your mind, and because the computer's not going to tell you how to get around this traffic or what other
No,
location. But if you know where it's at, and like there's a big wreck or something blocking the road, well, you can take the side street and you can get right around them and get to it.
A lot of what you do is the normal for you because you've been doing it for so long.
Yeah,
And a lot of guys out there watching you are wondering, man, how does he do it, So when somebody asks you how do you do it, I think it's pretty difficult to explain, something you've been doing for years.
Right.
In detail, like, hey, here's what I'm looking for, here's what I'm doing. So what would be your advice to an EO who wants to be as good as you are? What does that guy or girl got to do to achieve that level of proficiency?
Well, if you're going to be a regular EO, get that thing out on the slab every day, fire it up, listen to it run, listen to it purr, hook it up on drilling, stand back and listen to it. Let it run away from some water a little bit so you know what it's going to do. That way, when you get on the fire ground, you'll know you can step away from that pumper. It's going to work. It's going to do its job. You just have to listen and make sure somebody's not cutting your water off, because if you're sucking away from the water, you'll hear the engine rev up and you go back and take care of your business. Otherwise, you can go do all kinds of other things. You can throw ladders. You can take them tools. You can even have your own line. If you're going to get in the hot zone, you're going to have your gear on, but you can have your own line, and you can be hitting some hot spots on the outside. And you can even have a line charged and ready for your crew inside in case they need that backup line. And there are just so many things you can do, and the guys are going to be hot and tired when they come out. So if the fire's out, your job's still there. You got to pick all this stuff up. Don't wait for them. You don't have to wait for them to roll the hose and stuff. Get out there and do it. And if you are pumping out there on a pretty good fire, you're going to have more help than you need. The best thing for you to do is make yourself a captain, step back away from the apparatus, and start designating these people what to do. And watch that they're not hooking up to the wrong thing. So many times we hook up our pumping line to the intake line. They're right close together, so you just have to keep in your mind what you want done. You're going to have the help there, but you need to tell these people what you want done. Because if you start letting them do what they want to do, then you're going to be all fouled up. You're going to wonder what's going wrong. Then you have to go trace everything out. So it was much easier for me. I always had help. I tried to be as fast as I could. And a lot of times I'd be pulling extra lines off, and they'd say, well, what do you want? What do you want? I said, well, okay, here, you want to help me? Take this line. I want it over here. Or take this 2.5 apartment lay back there. They're going to need some more lines in the courtyard area, But go ahead and take charge. You're in charge of the apparatus. And so start barking orders to these people. I guess that, I didn't really want to be a captain because of the paperwork, but I did like the captain's job other than that. But and I took the test a few times, but didn't make high enough to be captain. So
Sure, it would have been awesome.
Yeah. And I actually, if it weren't for me having to pay to come to work, I would still be there.
So, what do you have any? What probably somebody else watching you work would call it trick of the trade, but is this a normal thing for you as far as the engine EO is concerned?
Practice makes perfect. That's all I can say. I'm like everybody else. I hated to mess my day up going out and drilling, but believe me, you'll learn something new every day if you go out and do some drilling. Every day you'll learn more about your apparatus and what it can do, what it can't do, and pumping into ladder pipes and try the different streams on stuff, you know, and that always helps, you know, because I mean, like when I worked at Sixes in the Heights, we could pull right up there on Heights Boulevard, and I always told these guys, I said, I made this about this one fire we had. It was I was just a regular firefighter. Johnny Klotz was the chauffeur. We pulled up over there, and a two-story was ripping out the first floor and second floor. Something just told me, said, give me the deck gun. So I climbed up on top. So as soon as he got that line hooked up, he turned the deck gun on. I had it on semi-fog and swept the bottom and then swept the top. Thing was out just like that. Went in with the hand line, mopped it up. And I was a true believer of that deck gun after that. I said, we can come in, if you got a lot of fire showing, we can do a blitz with that deck gun and knock the major part of it down and then go in and mop up with the rest of it. Did that over in the Heights. In fact, another company had beat us in on Heights Boulevard, but we caught a plug, laid up there, put the deck gun on, and we actually protected the exposure when the house was ripping, and we shot it in between the two houses and kept the exposure from catching fire.
Did you ever use a deck gun for a quick knockdown on off of tank water?
Yeah, and that won't last you long.
Right.
So, but
how long would you run it for? Till you felt the job was done, or?
Well, if you're going to use it on tank water, it's not going to be but just a few seconds.
Yeah.
So you better be getting your line coming. But I always try to hopefully either have somebody help me or get a line established before I kick that thing on, because it'll suck that tank down real quick. But yeah, we practiced on that a few times. The thing is, like I said, you'll run out of water real quick right there, and I like to keep that tank full for a backup, because I mean, even if you establish your lines, I mean, when they're taking the lines in to attack the fire and you're trying to get hooked up and stuff, you can give them that tank water. They'll have line to fight the fire with. Now, if they're on a hand line, it's going to last a little longer. And so you want to get your water supply established. But after that, you need to refill your tank, because if anything happens to your supply line, that's going to be your backup. You're going to fall back on that tank to protect them. And then you need to let them know. So we got a problem with the water supply. I got you on tank water. I'll let you know when you get down to half a tank, and then you're going to have to get out.
According to statistics, there's fewer fires today than they were in the past. Do you think this affects the modern fire service as far as our tactics and how we function on a daily basis?
No, I mean, it gives us more time to practice, but I have noticed we may be fewer fires, but when we do have fires, they're bigger. Mm-hmm. Just like the big apartment complex that caught on fire, the 5-alarm downtown. It's they're just bigger, and you're going to have eventually, from what I've seen in Houston, eventually you're going to have more townhome fires. They're building them so close together.
Right. Some
of them don't even have a foot in between them. You're going to have to start 1 or 2 units down to keep it from jumping. You know, if we get another one of these windy days like we've been getting, it could push it anywhere. Now the new rookies, I know they do their best to train them out at the academy, but they're going to learn everything at the station. So it's up to the guys at the station to take them out every day and put them through the mill. I mean, I had some good captains, Captain Marino and at 28s, and he would take the new guys out, and we would do all those standards and teach them how to pull these cross lays and stuff. And I tell them, I said, well, you need to learn this for yourself, but like I always say, it's going to be waiting for you. If I'm driving, it's going to be waiting for you. All you got to do is pick it up and go with it. So
today's rookies seem to be a different generation. when it comes to training, some of them have never had a hard day's work, don't know or how to swing an axe.
Right.
How do you train those guys?
Well, it's going to be a little more difficult because I mean they probably haven't done anything else but this, and like myself, I had another job before I got in the fire service, so it made me appreciate this job so much more. They're going to be a little reluctant about going into these buildings, and for a while you're going to have to keep track of them. That's all I can say. I mean, I'm glad we got the new accountability stuff. But and another point I wanted to bring about was like with some things that have changed on our checking in to work, like the Kulo fire. If you're going to come in and relieve your man early and y'all make a run, you need to reach up there and grab that captain and say, look, I've already relieved so-and-so. This is so-and-so. I'm back here. Right. So he knows that you're on there now instead of his regular man. Because when you get out to the fire, and then it happened, the way it happened was they had the fire, he got relieved early, and the other guy shows up at the fire, so the captain says, oh, I have all my men here. Mm-hmm. And so his regular guy says, where's Kulo? He relieved me. He didn't tell the captain he had relieved him, and lo and behold, he got left in.
But that time it's too late.
But that you need to let them know. I mean, we do a lot of swapping. I mean, 28th was the world's worst because every time I looked back there was a new face. Mm-hmm. I had to look back there every time I took out of the station to see what new guy I had back there. I know the captain kept up with it, but for my own personal, helped me keep up with them, I had to know who was back there.
So on 28s, 51s, and 68s, we always had a high influx of rookies. Sometimes we may even have 2 or 3 on one shift. So as a rookie, you're told, hey, shift change at 6:30. Don't be late. Get there at 5:30. Some guys even tell them 5. So after the Kula fire, and you get there as a rookie at 5:30. You go take the first line guy stuff off, put yours on, and go about your checks in the morning. Did anything change at 28s after the Kula fire?
No, they did. They do pretty good with checking in with the captain over there.
So they make sure
every day. I think you need to check in with the EO too.
Right.
Because he's the one that's going to be watching for all of you.
Right, second set of eyes.
And but they do a lot of swapping because guys are still going to school, so they have somebody come to work for them a while and different things like that. But they do need to check in, especially with the captain. I know a bunch of the other stations are a lot slower and they may not do that, but. They should check in and make sure he knows that they're there.
So it's the promotion system for us seems to go kind of quick if you hit it right. You can get made every 2 years if you're that smart, in the books.
My biggest thing, I mean, everybody goes, if you can read a book and memorize it, you can go up the ladder quick.
Yeah, but come game time.
I always said, I'm waiting to see them put that fire out with that book. You going to beat it out with that book or not?
That almost worked in your room. Had you had your book, you wouldn't have blisters in your hand.
Yeah, that would have worked.
So, but what recommendation or advice would you give EO who promoted extremely quickly, and now he's in charge of an apparatus, but in reality, he was at slow station, has very little experience.
I tell you how fast things work. You may be promoted to an EO. And the very day you come and take the job, guess what? You're riding captain, buddy.
Boom.
You got to ride captain today. So as a firefighter, you need to be watching all these jobs ahead of you, at least 2 jobs ahead of you, the EO job and the captain's job. Because you'll be thrown into one of those positions real quick. EO job is, best thing to do is, I had to rearrange my pumper every day because everybody has their own system.
Right.
And I know everybody hated the fact that I accumulated so much stuff on there, but I always told them, I said, the more things I have on here, the less I have to look for them. If I got 5 couplings of the same, or 6 of this, 7 of that, I said, I have to look less for it. It's right there.
But personally, every time I did that, something happened that at the fire, I was like, man, if I only had 5 couplings, I wouldn't have this problem. So as soon as I get a chance,
you have to go borrow from somebody else.
Grab some more, put them on there. So do you remember the 411 fire on Belle Reeve back in '07.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
that day, I'm driving engine 51. I'm still a firefighter. We're first in, and we turned on Marionette. We see the column, and I'm like, hey, we got one, you know. So we pulled up, and, you know, the guys go into the attack floor and whatnot, and I believe, I may be wrong, you were off that day.
Yes.
And I remember seeing you on there, you know, taking pictures, like, hey, there's Smitty. And then the fire progresses, and, you know, ran out of hose. They can make it into the unit, and I believe the fire was in the doorway to the bedroom, but they couldn't make it all the way into the bedroom. So what did you do this day?
I was actually off that day. I'd gone home to clean my furnace, get ready for the winter, and Scott Isabella calls me, hey, we got a high-rise fire in our territory. I said, where's it at? He says, Belle Reeve. And I said, okay. So I came down, jumped in my truck, got my camera. I'm going to go over there and take pictures. So I get over there and get out of my truck. I can see the fire still rolling, and I'm taking pictures. And the biggest part of the companies are doing rescue work. So I'm over there. I get up under 51's ladder, and they said, hey, can you give us a hand? We're going to pull this line over and take it up the ladder and hit the fire. I said, okay. Yeah, so I helped them stretch 1 3/4 up on the ladder and everything. And strangely enough, everybody disappeared all of a sudden. And the chief looked down at me and said, hey, can you get up there and put that fire out? And I said, well, yes. Strapped on an air pack, put it on. The chauffeur said, get on that platform and I'll shove you in the window. I said, okay. So I get up there on the line. He pushed me in the window, and I knocked that thing out for about 5 or 10 minutes there, and came down, and good job, Smitty, good job. Where are you working today? Oh, I'm off today, Chief.
So I remember it was 2007, and I saw the last little, 5 seconds of that story. I'm looking up and like, who's that? Smitty. I'm like, whoa, I want to be that badass when I've been in that long. Smitty going into the window. This 3/4 high-rise fire.
But I made, in fact, I probably made more fires on my days off than I did working, to tell you the truth, because I remember Mother's Day we had Trafalgar Square over there off of Westheimer. Yeah. I found my pumper. That was another one of my 9 lives there. But I found my pumper, 64 Diamond T, Waukesha, Han. And I said, hey, can you give me a line? He said, yeah. So I got my own line, had 4 units all to myself, burning. I hit the ones downstairs, had a volunteer come in behind me, and I hit one of the rooms, and smoke belched out of there, and he disappeared. So I headed up the stairs. I'm upstairs hitting that fire up there, and that's when they hollered, everybody needs to get down, because they want to get everybody on the 2.5s and try to knock the chimneys down. They had chimneys sticking up, brick chimneys. So on my way down, I'm looking up. There's a big old air conditioning unit right over the stairwell, and just barely hanging on by toothpicks. So I got out of there, and that was one. I mean, I made a bunch of them. We had one when they had the casino club over there in Galleria. I made it from 16s that morning, and I got in there. It was still smoky and everything, and I don't know who this guy was. He must have been 6, 7 foot tall, big guy, and he grabbed me by the coat. I said, I'm out of air. Where's the door? So I just turned him around, grabbed him by the coat, and shoved him. I said, it's over that way.
That's like the one thing you don't want to do as a rookie, but who's this? I'm out of air. And here comes Smitty. It's that way, buddy. Yeah,
and then, of course, they got the hot bottle changeover from my Greenway Plaza fire.
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was a strange day because we rolled up on 16s and fire blowing out 2 windows up there. And we'd already gotten a report late because when we were gearing up, 3s was there, that we were gearing up there, already pulled a second alarm. Mm-hmm. We get there, fire's rolling out the windows, and they told us it was on the 6th floor. So this is the first time they had the instant command thing. So we were supposed to take lobby control. We're in there, and the guard hands us 500 keys to take the elevator and stuff, and had Jimmy Hunter with me as captain, and guards on the radio hollering, help me. and he's trapped up there. And so I told Captain Hunter, I said, Captain, we're not doing any good here with all these 500 keys. I said, we need to go see if we can rescue this guy. And he agreed, and so we turned the lobby control over to some chief and headed out. Well, I don't know what happened to Captain Hunter. He disappeared. Had a rookie with me. So we headed up. We got up on the floor below the fire, and there was actually a guard up there, and we rescued him. I took my mask off, took him all the way downstairs, got him outside. We started back up, went in on the 6th floor, clear as a bell, found the interior stairwell, went up to the 7th floor, clear as a bell, and I said, damn, where's the fire? So I look out the window, and I said, one more floor. I said, grab you a bottle, man, because it's one more floor up. So I grabbed an air bottle, and I guess he left me to change his, because I ended up going in on my own. Got in the hallway, smoked down the floor, and so I'm going to change the bottle out. Not a problem. I set it down. The hallways must be 6 foot wide. And anyway, I run out of air, and I'm sucking up this black smoke, and my throat's closing. I started to panic. The bottle rolls away from me. I can't find the bottle. So I started to panic and run, and probably most people would have. I caught myself, and I said, well, you can't make it down 4 flights of stairs in this smoke if you don't get that bottle. Mm-hmm. So I felt around there, finally got the bottle, got it hooked up, slapped that mask on, and I got out. I went down and seen the chief, and I couldn't hardly talk. Oh, chief, you're going to have to get that ladder up there and put that fire. He knew I'd had it up there, man. So, but
so is that incident that brought up the hot bottle change?
Yeah, that's where they come about with doing the hot bottle change up.
Yes.
Well, you gotta stop there.
Okay.
That was an awesome story. Again,